You know, it's kind of backwards when you really think about it, right? But we're always told that learning, it's about getting it right. Avoid the mistakes.
Yeah, perfection. That's the goal usually.
But what if?
Uh,
What if actually making mistake, like intentionally taking a wrong turn while you're learning something new?
hmm.
What if that's actually better?
Better for really getting it, you mean?
Yeah, especially for taking that knowledge and like using it somewhere totally different, applying it way outside its original box.
Well, that's exactly the fascinating idea we're diving into today. It's this concept of deliberate erring.
Deliberate erring.
Yeah, there's this study we looked at from Educational Psychology Review. Basically, it argues that making mistakes on purpose, well, it can seriously improve what they call far transfer of learning.
Okay, far transfer. Let's nail that down. So it's not just like doing well on a quiz about what you just read.
No, no, not at all. It's bigger than that. Think about learning something in, say, biology, the principles of how a vaccine works, maybe.
Okay.
And then being able to use those same principles to understand something completely different, like how you might manage a forest fire spread.
Yeah.
Totally different fields.
Right, seeing the underlying pattern or idea across, yeah, across different areas, that's the leap.
That's the leap. That's far transfer. And our mission, really, for this deep dive, is to figure out if making mistakes deliberately can actually help you, our listener, make those kinds of connections.
Which could be super useful. I mean, whether you're prepping for a meeting on a new topic or just, trying to connect ideas.
Exactly. Or just wanting things to stick better, be more memorable in a deeper way. This research suggests a surprising path to get there.
Okay, I'm intrigued. This study, it wasn't just theory then, they actually tested
Oh,
this.
yeah. They ran experiments,
hmm
and they came up with this term, the daring effect.
The daring effect. Okay, like daring yourself.
Kind of, yeah. The idea is when you actively make errors and then crucially correct them yourself,
Yeah.
especially when the stakes are low, you actually learn more deeply than if you just tried to be perfect from the start.
Which completely goes against, well, my intuition anyway. Avoid errors. Get it right.
Right. But they found this effect. And importantly for our discussion, they specifically looked at whether it helps with that far transfer, applying knowledge to really dissimilar areas.
So did the daring effect help people make those big leaps, like the biology to geography example?
Well, let's look at the experiments. In the first one, they basically compared two groups of students studying scientific texts.
Okay.
Group one just, generated the correct responses as they studied,
Hmm.
standard learning.
Right.
Group two, they were told to deliberately generate incorrect responses, plausible, but wrong, and then immediately correct themselves.
Huh. Okay, so one group straight path, the other takes a detour through wrong and comes back.
Exactly. And then they tested them just on remembering the material itself. Retention.
Did the deliberate mistake makers get confused?
Actually, no. The group that deliberately erred and corrected, they showed better retention of the facts.
Better, just from making mistakes first.
Seems like it. It's like that process of, okay, this is wrong. Why is it wrong? Ah, this is right. It somehow makes the correct information stickier. Maybe it creates a stronger memory trace.
That's wild. Okay, so even just for basic recall, messing up first helps? That's already kind of a head scratcher.
It is. But then they took it a step further. Experiment two. This is where the far transfer comes in.
All right, the main event.
Similar setup. But the test questions were different. They weren't just recall. They required students to take the concepts they learned and apply them to completely different domains, remote knowledge domains.
Like the vaccine principles being used to think about invasive species management, that kind of thing.
Precisely that kind of jump, really pushing them to generalize the core ideas.
And how did the deliberate erring group do on those questions, the really tough ones?
Significantly better. That's the crucial finding. The group that intentionally made and corrected errors, they were much better at applying the concepts to these new far-off situations.
Wow. Okay, so that's the real power here. It's not just remembering stuff, it's building a kind of understanding that's flexible enough to be used, well, anywhere.
Exactly. It fosters that deeper, more adaptable grasp of the underlying principles. You're not just tied to the original context you learned it in.
That's the kind of learning people really want, isn't it? The kind that sparks new ideas because you can see connections.
I think so. It's about building versatile knowledge.
Okay, but hang on. What if you just saw someone else make the mistake? Like if I watched you get something wrong and then you corrected it. Wouldn't I learn from that too?
That's a great question. You're still seeing the error, seeing the correction.
Right. Does it have the same effect?
Well, they tested that too. Experiment 3. They compared the group doing their own deliberate erring
Okay.
to another group who saw the exact same errors that other participants had deliberately made in the previous experiment and just had to spot and correct those.
Ah, so same errors, same corrections, but one group is making them, the other is just observing and fixing.
Precisely. And the results?
Let me guess. Making your own mistakes was better.
You got it. Actively generating the error yourself and then correcting it
Right.
was significantly more beneficial for FAR transfer than just seeing and correcting someone else's error.
So it's not just about seeing the wrong path, it's about personally, like, walking down it a few steps.
It really seems that way. The active engagement, the personal generation of the incorrect idea seems critical. It's like the difference between watching a cooking show and actually trying the recipe, messing it up, and figuring out why.
Yeah, okay. That makes intuitive sense when you put it like that. The struggle itself teaches you something, but why? What is it about generating the wrong answer that helps so much?
The study suggests the benefit is really tied to that generation process, not just any exposure to errors.
Okay.
When you have to come up with a plausible but incorrect idea yourself and then contrast it with the right one, it seems to force a deeper level of thinking.
Deeper processing.
Yet you're not just passively absorbing, you're actively wrestling with the concept, figuring out its edges, why one path is wrong and another is right. You build a richer mental map, maybe.
Including the dead ends,
Yeah,
not the destination.
exactly. And that richer map seems to be what allows you to navigate new territory later on the FAR transfer.
This is really compelling stuff, but
Mhm.
did the learners know it was working? Like, did they feel smarter using this mistake-making method?
Now that is another really interesting twist.
Mm-hmm.
They found that the learners themselves, they didn't predict that deliberate erring would be better. And even after the test, they didn't really recognize its benefits.
Seriously, they did better, especially on those hard transfer questions, but they didn't connect it to the fact they were making mistakes on purpose.
Pretty much, it points to this metacognitive blind spot. We might not feel like we're learning efficiently when we're making errors.
Because it feels messy. It feels slow.
Right. But the results suggest that feeling might be misleading us. We might intuitively favor smooth, error-free learning, even if the slightly messier path leads to deeper, more flexible understanding.
Wow. So we could be avoiding a really useful strategy just because it doesn't feel right.
It seems possible, which
Yeah.
really highlights why this kind of research is so valuable. It can uncover effective strategies that go against our gut feelings.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. For everyone listening, what's the big takeaway here?
I think the core message is, don't shy away from errors, especially when you're learning and the stakes are low. Actually lean into them sometimes.
Deliberately.
Deliberately explore wrong answers. Think about why they might seem right and then work through the correction. That process seems to build a much stronger foundation for using that knowledge later in all sorts of ways.
Embrace the daring effect. It sounds like it could genuinely help connect those dots between different interests, different fields, which is, a pretty cool skill to have.
Absolutely. That intentional engagement with wrongness might just forge stronger, more adaptable pathways in your brain, helping you see connections you'd otherwise miss.
This has been genuinely eye-opening. Makes me want to rethink how I approach learning new things. So maybe a final thought for everyone tuning in. Where could you maybe intentionally sprinkle a little deliberate erring into your own learning? What are you exploring right now where maybe brainstorming some wrong ways, some incorrect paths, and then figuring out why they're wrong might actually unlock a deeper
A
understanding?
little bit of intellectual daring.
Yeah. Be a little daring. See where those intentional wrong turns might actually lead you. It might be somewhere surprisingly insightful.